Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we return with round 5 of the F1 2000 career mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here for the jewel in the Formula 1 crown. It's time for the 50th anniversary Monaco Grand Prix. Of course, if you missed out on the video that went live earlier on in the week from Barcelona, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. It was quite an interesting one, and we really have seen Jacques Villeneuve stake his claim as a championship threat. The Canadian driver now has the world title lead by just 4 points over myself, but yeah, Pedro de la Rosa as well waiting in the wings. Ferrari and McLaren, they have not had it all their way so far this year, with Williams and BAR both getting the jump on them. We won't mention the fact that currently McLaren is behind arrows in this series either. Mika Salo is having quite possibly the greatest campaign you are ever going to witness in a Formula 1 game. But yes, we return though this weekend to the Monaco Grand Prix, of course, the toughest track on the calendar. I must admit, I am looking forward to this one, but I think, yeah, it's going to be very, very difficult to try and stay out of trouble as well. Get yourself subscribed if you're new. This weekend we have got the final 2 rounds of the F1 24 driver career mode going live as well. I've already recorded those races. They're both absolutely brilliant. But yeah, today though, it's time to try and win the Monaco Grand Prix. Well, legends are made here on the Monaco streets, and most of their journeys begin on Saturday afternoon, ready for the Grand Prix. This place is really, really difficult, and especially in these older cars. You know, they're very nimble, but they are certainly a handful as well over the bumps here. Obviously, we know, based on the first 4 rounds, that the BA are very, very good through the high downforce sections. And, of course, Monaco, they don't come more high downforce than this place. So maybe we've got a good chance today to try and hook up a good qualifying effort. But, yeah, like I said, these cars are so light that it's quite difficult to actually work out what the front end's doing on a lot of occasions there, as Portier in practice was one of the most notorious bits for it. You just get a little bit of understeer and you can't really feel it through the steering rack there, as definitely lacking straight line speed against the likes of Pedro de la Rosa in his Ferrari. But hopefully we're able to make all of that time back up, and hopefully a little bit more through the twisty bits. It's down through to back, down the 1 gear on the way in. The car really wants to oversteer out towards that outside wall, but threading the needle through nice and tidily. Just a couple more corners to go. Larascas, no famous Michael Schumacher moment there just yet, but as we try and put the power down out of Anthony Noakes, a little bit of a wobble, little snap there to try and correct it up towards the line. Will it be pole? It is P2. De La Rosa, that straight line speed, he snatched it at the line. Well, half a tenth in it in the end, but Pedro de la Rosa storms to yet another pole position this season ahead of myself and Michael Schumacher. But yeah, it looks like BAR is going to be Ferrari's biggest rival this weekend. Title leader Jacques Villeneuve down in P5, so we've got a good opportunity to take some points at him as well if we can survive. McLaren all the way down in 7th and 8th there, so really not the qualifying session they would have wanted. Salo continues his great season with a P12 start, and Fisichella once again will get the jump on Jos Verstappen. Jenson Button lines up at the rear of the field for his first ever Monaco Grand Prix, but from the front row, we have got a huge opportunity.
Formula 1 returns to Monte Carlo once again today, home to the world-famous Monte Carlo Casino, first opened in 1863. And, of course, a certain road race, first held here in 1929. There's no greater an occasion, no more valuable a win than the Monaco Grand Prix. The prestigious Circuit de Monaco then. It's not all that dissimilar today to the layout that made its debut almost a century ago. It's 2 miles and 19 corners through the streets of Monte Carlo, and although the average lap speed of around 93 miles per hour is the lowest of the season, the tiny margins for error make it the natural habitat of the safety car. Anthony Davidson joins me once again in the commentary box, and it's fantastic to have you with us here today, but I'm curious, as a man with experience out on the track, how do you stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
But from the moment qualifying's over, you start to feel the adrenaline in your body build up and the buzz in your stomach as you anticipate the run down into turn 1. It's all a bit like going into battle, and the unknown situation makes you nervous. Those pre-race nerves are a good thing. The day you don't have them means that you don't care anymore. And of course, you have to make sure that all the procedures are second nature to you, so that they're not taking up too much of your capacity.
Well, here we go then, trackside already for the Monaco Grand Prix, and I'm slightly nervous because it looks like yet again we are meant to see changeable conditions towards the end of the afternoon. I think today the strategy is going to be, well, we can't actually start on any of the tyres, we've got to start on the mediums apparently, which is a little bit peculiar, but yeah, if we could try and take those to the wet period, you know, we're probably going to get a safety car. It's Monaco with this damage model. It's going to be chaos. So we could see that rain arrive a little bit earlier into the afternoon. So if we can make a no-stop work and get to that wet period, then we might just have a chance here. But De La Rosa, he is hungry for his second win of the year. We're also hungry for our second win of the year. It is going to be 5 red lights on the grid. And it's lights out, and away we go there as we've actually done a fairly good start in the second phase of the launch. De La Rosa will cover us off down to turn 1, and Michael Schumacher tries to have a look down the inside as well there as Pedro just gets a little bit of oversteer there. We got a little bit boxed in, and Schumacher will say thank you very much there up at the top of the hill. But again, you can see, I mean, the Ferraris and ourselves are covered by barely a tenth of a second at the end of qualifying. But we find time around this circuit in so many different places there. But the dream start for Ferrari this one. They've got a 1-2 at the front of the field. Looks like everybody a little bit further back has been fairly well behaved. But yeah, it's staggered. We haven't seen yellow flags or a safety car here on lap 1. But yeah, today, as always, is just about survival at Monaco. You know, Jacques Villeneuve starting a little bit further behind. There's an opportunity to try and get back ahead of him in the championship. I think if, you know, it's very early on, but I think if things were to finish like this, top 3 in the title would be covered by about 2 points here. As it looks like Wirtz has got the jump on his teammate as well. So just try and dance between the walls early on. Let's just not worry about those Ferraris too much too early. Just try and get into our own rhythm. Well, I think Ferrari then early on are just trying to break away from myself there. We've been the only driver that has been able to keep up with them at least throughout Friday and Saturday. You can see that trend seems to be carrying over into Sunday's race as well. Herbert already 4 seconds behind. So we're running well over a second a lap quicker than our teammate here. Early on, he's under increasing pressure from the Williams and the McLarens further back. But of course, yeah, we've got to think about the bigger picture as well. You know, our Constructors' Championship, the AAR have got a pretty good shot here, especially if our teammate can still keep delivering big results. But yeah, for us, we've just got to keep up with Ferrari. We saw them completely bottle it back at Barcelona. They could easily mess up strategy again. Well, I'm not going to try and sit here and claim that F1 at Monaco was better back in the 2000s or anything like that. Although I must admit, yeah, you go back and listen to the V10 screaming on a Saturday afternoon in full anger. It was certainly something to behold. But yeah, this track is so much more fun in smaller cars as well. You know, this thing feels agile. It does feel a little bit sketchy. Obviously, like I've said, because it's so light over the bumps, it can feel a little bit all over the show. But, you know, it's better than these big, heavy, modern Formula 1 cars that kind of have to lumber around these Monaco streets. You know, this place is meant to favour, you know, light, nimble cars. You know, the ones with the aerodynamics, everything like that. But to be fair, I say that today. So far, it's still Ferrari winning. And that car is all about power. That's why I'm a little bit worried about De La Rosa. Because after this, most of the circuits towards the end of the year are very power-orientated. Well, that is much earlier than any of us were anticipating then. Team already saying rain is expected in 10 to 15 minutes. Now, it's not always accurate inside this game. But yeah, if we saw rain before half distance, that would certainly change things up. So Michael Schumacher there, a little bit of a wobble as he tries to put the power down under the tunnel. But yeah, you can still see they're able to just stretch his legs off the corner. I mean, we've got to be right underneath him and hope he makes an error at exactly the right place if we want any chance of getting through. Showcase to Ferrari that we've got the pace to match him early on. New fast lap of the day. Herbert is already 12 seconds behind. How is our teammate 2 seconds a lap slower? Surely he's got front wing damage or something, because there's no way he should be that slow. I mean, I'm trying to have a look, but I can't see anything on Johnny Herbert's car. I just don't think he's got the pace here early on in the race. And you can see he's got a nice train of those Williams and the McLaren stuck behind him. But yeah, Johnny Herbert is just not confident. Oh, that time around, Michael Schumacher, a little bit of an error. Can we have a look down the inside? No. Oh, Michael there almost opened the door for me, but I think he had confidence again that that car, even on a short straight like that down into to back, he knew he would still have the legs on me there. But yeah, Michael Schumacher is definitely struggling at the moment. I think he feels a little bit trapped behind his teammate Pedro De La Rosa. Surely we're going to see him make a move pretty soon. I mean, it's such an assault on the mind, this circuit, especially in these kind of cars. You know, you are dancing on the limit, and we are trying to push Michael Schumacher along there as well. De La Rosa, first one to blink then into the pit lane comes our race leader. So Michael Schumacher now, maybe for the first time this season, is going to lead a Grand Prix. Team reckon it's got to be about that time to dive in. No, our BAR are telling us to go long. So not too sure what's happened there. I can only assume De La Rosa feels he can come out ahead of Herbert. But yeah, our team telling us to go long. They want to work the overcut. I mean, looking at that gap, De La Rosa, he has got out ahead of our teammate there, but only just. So Ferrari have timed that to absolute perfection then. So he's going to be on fresh tyres trying to work them hard.
Tyres, car behind, running hards.
So De La Rosa, yeah, wants to go on a harder set to try and see himself through to the wet period. But that's unleashed Michael Schumacher and myself. Was De La Rosa just holding us both up? Are we going to see Schumacher into the pit lane as well? Yes, we are. Michael Schumacher in. So we have now been unleashed at the front of the field. And now we get to try and go for it here as we went purple through the middle sector. New fastest lap of the day immediately.
The fastest lap of the race so far.
Have Ferrari just made a little bit of an error here? Will Schumacher potentially get the jump on his teammate as well? He's going to be mighty close between them on pit exit. But this is critical moments in the Monaco Grand Prix as we navigate our way up through the top of the hill. Looks like we might have a little bit of pace over those Ferraris. De La Rosa will still come out ahead of Michael Schumacher as we almost take ourselves out of the Grand Prix trying to watch the timing. No, Schumacher's done it. Michael Schumacher now has got the jump on his teammate. And if we have to pit before the rain arrives, Schumacher is into the net lead of this Grand Prix. Well, both myself and Michael Schumacher then have been unleashed here as we almost set another new fastest lap of the day. Now down into the low 18s, but Schumacher, I think he's about to go even quicker than me. So he's already built up a 1.5 second lead over his Spanish teammate. But finally, is Michael Schumacher back in this series, ladies and gents? We've waited for it right since the get-go. A 17-8. Michael is hungry. Teams still don't believe that rain is getting any closer right now. It must just be lurking up in the hills around the Monaco harbour. But yeah, Schumacher, I mean, for me, the thing I'm really nervous about actually is if we end up having to lap AI here too early. So I think if we close up to AI cars, then I'm probably going to try and box there as another new fastest lap of the day. Maybe Hamilton, maybe Verstappen, but is there anybody else scarier than having Michael Schumacher hunting you down? Oh, well, as soon as I say that, we have closed up to our first lap car. Jenson Button just strolling around in his Minardi, so don't know how far behind the rest of the field he is. He was a little way off in qualifying. Come on, Jenson, you got to move, man. We cannot afford to sit behind him for all too long. There's JB there. I mean, he's still just stuck in the way. I mean, where does he really go to try and get out of the way here? Oh, come on. Move. Move, please. Thank you. He's cost us so much time there, but we've got to be patient. Can't afford to risk any kind of damage to the car. And we've lost over a second to Schumacher doing that. Oh, there we go. Finally, we've got a bit of fight back in us then. New fastest lap of the day. And as we approach half distance then, I'm going to make the call to dive in pretty soon. Still not sure when that rain's going to appear. And I think if we were to box now, we might just get ahead of Pedro De La Rosa as well. I think Schumacher's a bit too quick for me at this stage. But if we could split those Ferraris, we've got to take the chance. Oh, no, why? We got someone out. No idea who it is.
The next part of the track, no overtaking through the yellow flags.
Oh, looks like Jan Magnussen's our first casualty of the afternoon. And I mean, a safety car then would have worked out beautifully for us. That looks to be a standard mechanical failure, though, for Jan. So disappointment for him and Jaguar, who have just not kicked on at the start of this season. I mean, I guess the good thing is with these old V10 Formula 1 cars is you can hear them around other parts of the circuit as well. So I know I've actually closed up to quite a few cars here as Herbert into the pit lane. So yeah, we know there's actually quite a few cars just up in front. So I think we'll have to go one lap longer here. Otherwise, Johnny Herbert, we might just get a slow pit stop. Don't really want to risk that. But yeah, we are definitely then going to dive in the end of next lap as the clouds starting to loom. Oh, Jarno Trulli up next then as the blue flag's just starting to get called out. As well, we got a little bit of rain just appearing on the screen. The rain has arrived then. So just as I was about to make our pit stop here, the rain has started to fall. I still think it's probably going to be worth being on the softer tyres for when that starts getting heavier and heavier. We saw it back in Australia. If the track is quite slick, yeah, it is worth it to stay out on these dries. Plus, to be honest, it gets us away from some of these lap cars as well. I mean, Jarno Trulli, I don't think he's going to let me out the ways. Oh, that's a bit of understeer. Yeah, I think we need fresh tyres here. We're going to go to those softs because I don't know how heavy the rain's meant to fall. As Jarno Trulli there does jump out the way down in towards the Rascats. Carefully, he doesn't run into the back of me here. But as we peel into the pit lane then just about under the speed limit, you can see, yeah, De La Rosa now 20 seconds behind. So he's really struggling. Will we see Michael Schumacher navigating his way through? Sadly not. Can hear him doing it.
Go, go, go.
So we'll try and get a clean, tidy pit stop then as we make our way back down towards pit exit. Got to be really, really careful there as Schumacher will go through. Not really surprising that one.
Now, we want to finish the race on this compound.
But yeah, as we head back out then onto the circuit. Nice and easy there on the exit. We're ahead of De La Rosa. That is critical. Tell you what now, this is a question of Michelin or Bridgestone. Both teams just starting to struggle with the grip, but I think Ferrari have got a little bit more core temperature in their tyres, and they seem to be working quite nicely at the moment. De La Rosa is going to struggle to find a way around me unless we make a mistake onto a straighter section of circuit, but Schumacher just still opening up that lead at the front. Rain is getting heavier and heavier though.
Behind 2 seconds.
I guess it's a small consolation, but we might have timed our fastest lap very well. I tell you what now, the tides change incredibly quickly. Monaco in the wet is such a confidence-based venue, and Schumacher now is really, really struggling. We are pulling away from De La Rosa behind, so I think these soft compound tyres are working really nicely for us. Now we've got some core temperature. You can see as we start lap 24, it's still not easy to drive this thing, but the gap to Michael is coming down. Well, Johnny Herbert then, he's made the call. He's one of the first big names I've seen to dive into the pit lane here. And I don't think that was a bad shout. We're going to have to try and follow him in at the end of this lap over onto a set of the wet compounded tyres. But Michael Schumacher, you can see he's practically crawling along as we make our way into the pit lane there. P1 and 2 are going to be neck and neck as they make their way down into the pit lane here. But surely we're going to see everybody have to dive it in. Hopefully we can get a nice, clean, tidy stop as well as the team just about ready. Come on, no, we need the wets. This is like Daniel Ricciardo. I told him we were boxing. We need those wet tyres going on as there goes Schumacher down the pit lane. Luckily, we're still going to be in P2 here because I can only assume De La Rosa had a slow stop as well. But all that time we've just taken out of Michael immediately has gone back to him. Will we be quicker on the wet tyres towards the end? Will we be able to get this set to the end of the Grand Prix? We saw just how bad the wet tyre life is on this game. Maybe we're going to struggle. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm happy we've got traction control in this car, because I think otherwise we'd find ourselves in a wall incredibly quickly. But I mean, look at that. Practically crawling off the corner. We got a safety car. No idea who's gone. I don't think anybody's gone. There we go. It's one of, I think it's Häkkinen. And Mika Häkkinen then, he's still out there on his dry compounded tyres and just down towards turn 1. It's a slow, lazy spin into the wall. But Häkkinen in trouble. He is out of yet another Grand Prix. Oh no, I think Johnny Herbert might be breaking down. What's happening? To our teammate here. Herbert is really struggling. He's at the front of the safety car queue. So I'm not too sure what's going on, but how hilarious is this then? For the second time this year, Johnny Herbert cannot go quicker than the safety car. If I had a nickel for every time that happened, I'd have 2 nickels. Weird that it's happened twice though, was how come Schumacher can jump in, but I can't? What is that about? Come on. Johnny Herbert apparently is falling out of the queue. He's binned it! Johnny Herbert's binned it under safety car. And we've got front wing damage from it. Our teammate's out of the Grand Prix. And what on earth is this? I've never seen anything like that on a Formula 1 game. De La Rosa apparently is going to cede the position, but it's pointless because we need to dive in for a new front wing. Johnny Herbert has binned it under safety car there. He's got a 5-second penalty now as De La Rosa because he hasn't let me back by. But this is just anarchy. Here in Monaco, surely they've got to red flag this. No one can stay on the road. Let's come on, team, we're here. We need a pit stop, please. Why are none of you here? Come on. What are they doing? What on earth are the team doing? They're not servicing us. Finally, they recognise it. What on earth is this? Has everybody caught napping for the second time? On to another set of the wet tyres, please. A new front wing on the car, and we have been absolutely screwed in this Grand Prix then. Where are we even going to come back out? Hopefully still ahead of Jacques Villeneuve here, but what on earth is that? Alexander Wirtz now up into the podium places, but, I mean, yeah, there's still a lot that can happen. We're only at 2/3 distance, but I've never seen anything like that. Twice in one lap I got to say that. Safety cars coming in then at the end of this lap, and annoyingly, we have not caught up to it. To be honest though, I'm not convinced that's such a bad thing here, because I think everybody that's still in this race is just going to be looking to try and get themselves to the checkered flag. We might still be able to close up to Pedro Della Rosa with his penalty by the end, but as long as you keep it on the island, you got a pretty good shot of scoring at this rate. Well, in the dry, we were able to set about 1:17, 1 minute 18 lap times here. In the wet, we are going to be about 15 seconds off the pace, and still on that lap, we went a good 3-4 seconds clear of the cars in front of me. I got no idea how much breathing room Michael Schumacher has at the front of the field, but I think he's pretty in control of this race. As long as Della Rosa can keep the Williams back, we are just trying to close back in though. I'm not going to give up until this race is over. I just feel like, I mean, in a race like this, there's opportunity for anybody, as we just catch a glimpse of that second Ferrari. Well, hopefully Nick Heidfeld is going to peel out the way as we make down in towards the tunnel again. I mean, look at how much we are all struggling. I mean, into here, it is barely full throttle when you get to 4th gear, and even the tunnel, you're having to blend out of it, because there just isn't the grip on these tyres. Heidfeld, we're barely catching him at the moment. So Nick Heidfeld and that Minardi might actually have some okay pace, as there we go, he's going to let me through. We've got eyes on Wirtz and Della Rosa in front. It's probably quite impressive after everything that's gone on so far in this race. Still, Williams, Ferrari and BAR find themselves near each other. How is the tyre wear looking? Yeah, we should be able to get to the end on this set. But yeah, Michael Schumacher is not breaking away either at the front, so we've genuinely got a good couple of seconds extra a lap over the AI in front of us here. It is all about confidence. Car performance doesn't mean anything, but I'm sure all the extra downforce is helping us as well. Catching Alexander Wirtz is one thing. Trying to get round the Austrian is certainly going to be another here, unless we've got the grip and the power off of the corners. Yeah, I don't think we're going to see a switch away from the wet tyres before the end of this race. It's been horrendous conditions here. I mean, if this was modern Formula 1, they would have thrown a red flag out by now. But, yeah, F1 back in the late 90s, early 2000s was a little bit more kind of a let-them race. We've seen wet races here. Of course, that famous one back in 1996. Olivier Panis from, what was it, 14th or 16th on the grid to take the win. And, of course, 2008 as well. It was Hamilton with a sterling drive there to get to the front after hitting the wall early on and giving himself a puncture. You can see now we are all over the back of Alexander Wirtz. Problem I've got, as always, straight line speed. We can get to him, we can practically push him along, but if we can't find a way through in the twisty bits, we're going to struggle to do anything up the straights. So we'll try and put the power down. Not happening there. I mean, you've basically got to wait for an AI mistake. You can't really look for moves either with this mod, obviously, because the damage is so brutal. Any kind of contact will see both you and your rival most likely out of the Grand Prix. So we've got to try and get something done in a straight line. Oh, a big moment there. Luckily, the car just about finding some grip in the end. This is tricky stuff. Oh, Wirtz again struggling. Wirtz really, really struggling that time round. As we make our way down through the tunnel. Oh, that was so close to the wall on the exit. Oh, and another big lock-up down in towards the next corner as well. Just see, we're practically pushing him along, but you cannot risk anything with these cars. They are so delicate, so fragile. 4 laps to go after this one. I mean, we should, hopefully, unless Wirtz loses so much time, we drop 5 seconds from Della Rosa, we should still get a podium. But I want to try and get ahead of him. I want to challenge those Ferraris like we did so much throughout the early stages of the race. The result, we just run into the back of him. He loses a little bit of rear wing. I don't know if that's cosmetic or not.
30.9 seconds.
Somehow we don't get any front wing damage from that, but Wirtz now, I think he's okay. Oh, Wirtz again. Another wobble. Another wobble. Come on. We've just got to try and keep it there, and Wirtz, he has to give me the room that time round. He'll still get the power down on the exit. Down the inside will go. Oh, side by side into the chicane there. We've got to be careful that we give him the room, but I think we might just about have done it. It's going to be a drag race off the corner as both of us side by side into the back there, but Wirtz finally backs out. And we are finally back up at a P3 of this Grand Prix. We got yellow flags out. I don't know whether Wirtz has hit the wall.
Let's get back up to racing speed.
He seems to be still going there, but can we close in 6 seconds to Michael Schumacher with just 3 laps? I'm not optimistic. Tyre wear warning light has now flashed up as well then. Let's not forget, we had to box for a fresher set of the wets than everybody else a couple of laps later, because obviously Johnny Herbert took our wing off. So, I mean, I don't know how bad Michael and Pedro are going to be struggling. I mean, everybody surely has got to try and limp their way to the end, but I said that we needed 2 seconds a lap over Schumacher. That's exactly what we've done. Well, Pedro De La Rosa and Michael Schumacher have still got the pace down the straights, of course. But yeah, I think they're both absolutely screwed on their tyres. So I don't think the Bridgestone wets are working even as well as the Michelin wets are at the moment. And if we could try and find a way around Pedro here before the last lap of the Grand Prix, what stops us from trying to challenge Michael Schumacher for the win as we try and make our way down through the tunnel? Oh, Pedro there gets a huge moment. We have to avoid him on the exit, and that might work out quite well for both the Spaniard and his German teammate. As I mean, Pedro's, yeah, almost has got the gap over Alexander Wirtz already, so he could still be on for a P3. Well, no wonder everybody else is struggling here. Our tyres up to about the 70% mark, so everybody else's has got to be up around the 80, and both Ferraris are in with 1 lap to go. Ferrari can't make it. I think they've accepted they weren't going to win this thing. And Alexander Wirtz now, he's going to be up to P2 of the Grand Prix. So what on earth have Ferrari done? Surely you just try and hang on with 1 lap to go here. But Ferrari, Bridgestone not confident. They don't want to risk not scoring anything in this race if one of those cars has a puncture. I mean, they still will come out in P3 and P4. But Michael Schumacher, I mean, surely you take the punt. Surely you try and go for the win on these Monaco streets. I mean, he might still get pretty close to us by the end because our tyres are absolutely cooked as well. But as we navigate our way through the final lap, oh, surely we can't lose 14 seconds to Schumacher. We certainly can if we're driving like that through these first few corners. But suddenly Wirtz and ourselves given a lifeline. I think Coulthard as well really struggling towards the end of this one because Jacques Villeneuve now has moved back up at a P5. So you got yellows out somewhere. I don't know if that's a car in front or behind. I think, yeah, it is a car in front there. So is that one of the Jordans that's got issues? Not too sure what's happened to them in what has been a torrid season so far. But as we navigate our way then in towards the final few corners, I thought we were about to see our 4th different winner of the year, courtesy of Michael Schumacher. It's not going to happen. And as Jacques Villeneuve was able to get his 2nd win last time out of Barcelona, I thought we might struggle to keep up with the Canadian. But through the final couple of corners of the Monaco Grand Prix, the wildest race I think I've ever had inside this mod, and that's saying something. Out of the final turn, Schumacher's really struggling as well. Of the route variety, we are going to win the Monaco Grand Prix.
They've done it then. They've won here in Monaco with an emphatic performance and a victory they can be proud of for years to come. Anthony, tell me, what was it that helped them achieve this success?
Without a doubt, the safety car changed everything today. The key to their success was keeping calm and reacting to the situation quickly. We've seen teams in the past throw away wins because they were too hesitant, but here they were decisive, and that's allowed them to take the advantage.
Well, after almost an hour of racing there and a 3-stop strategy, we come through to take the win at the Monaco Grand Prix. I'll be honest, I kind of forgot we started P2 there. It was such a crazy race. But to get home and, just to survive was pretty impressive. To get home with the win, I'm really, really happy with there. Alexander Wurz kept out of trouble all day long and will walk away with 18 points for Williams there as Michael Schumacher comes through for P3 ahead of his teammate Pedro de la Rosa, who just hangs on ahead of Jacques Villeneuve. Coulthard gets some well-earned points on the board with both arrows again scoring points there. Salo 12th to 7th, Jean Alesi 16th to 9th. When all is said and done, with Rubens Barrichello between them and Giancarlo Fisichella rounding out the top 10. He's always gone well around this circuit there. Herbert, Hakkinen and Magnussen, the only drivers not to see the checkered flag this weekend, so disappointing results for them. And taking a look then at the championship standings, that means we reclaim the lead at the top of the table there. We are here to fight this season, especially, if Jacques Villeneuve and Pedro de la Rosa continue to have tough races as well. Wurz now up into P4. They're comfortably ahead of Salo, who he and Schumacher get the jump on Johnny Herbert and Rubens Barrichello. Coulthard now ahead of his teammate Hakkinen, who yet again failed to see the checkered flag, and I believe, Giancarlo Fisichella, he doubles his points haul as well so far this campaign. Constructors-wise, Williams, though, do open up the gap now to 20 points at the top of the table. Ferrari still waiting in the wings as McLaren try to close in that gap to Arrows. Jaguar down to P6. Jordan still in 8th place there, ahead of Minardi. But thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourselves subscribed, and we'll be back very soon when Formula 1 returns ready in Montreal.